All right, shall we get started?
All the time.
It's
901.
I know.
called to order at 9:01 this morning. I'm sitting in for the chair. Billy is off-site and at a charity event this morning, and so he will not be here, so it's just the three of us. We do have a quorum. So stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend item 13C, approve, disapprove resolution 2023-10, a resolution to approve the FY25 New Mexico appropriation request for $362,800 to the new amount of $380,000. And with that amendment, I would make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda's approved. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the May 20th meeting?
So moved.
Second. All in
If
favor?
all in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved. The minutes of the August 17th special commission meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item is the president's report. So I'll take that one on. It's been an interesting quarter with the New Mexico governor's requirement for the president general manager position to be separated from the commission appointments. We initiated a search for my replacement immediately after the last commission meeting. The position was advertised on LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and the Heritage Rail Alliance newsletter. We received 30 applicants for the general manager position. A team of CTO managers reviewed all the applications, scored them against the job advertisement for required and desired skills. The team then interviewed 16 of the 30 applicants. The search team has briefed the commissioners during a special meeting that was held on August 17th. A short list of applicants from this meeting will be interviewed over the next 2 weeks by the commissioners in a special meeting. If the hiring process progresses as expected, this should be my last president's report to the commission. The contract for the lava water tank rehabilitation has been awarded. The work's expected to take about 6 weeks from delivery of the materials. The sawmill in Taos is cutting all the replacement wood, and they should begin cutting wood within the next 10 days. The replacement tie program has been happening between milepost 302 and 303. 813 ties have been installed. 3,280 tons of ballast have been spread across the railroad. The track's been surfaced in several sections on the east side of the railroad and several points on the west side of Cumbres Pass. Additional surfacing work will take place in the west side of the pass this fall. 3 slow orders that had developed due to the hard winter on the west side of the pass were removed as the track was surfaced on the west side earlier this year. The installation of the new potable water treatment plant has been completed in Osier now, and the water notifications that have been in place since I arrived at the railroad in June of 2021 have been removed. When Colorado recategorized the Osier Spring as groundwater under the influence of surface water, we were required to upgrade the water treatment plant. The new plant cost $79,027, so that was a fairly substantial investment in the water plant up there. The Osier Dining Hall has been functional since June 10, 2023. Good kitchen has been. Has passed the Colorado State Health Inspections, the Conenos County Fire Inspections. All the kitchen equipment, with the exception of the walk-in cooler, has been replaced. The serving tables upstairs were also replaced. And we've added additional tables to fill in additional seating capacity on the lower floor as we opened up dining space down there. We recently ran a 2-week survey of our premium class customers and asked them about their lunch experience. The overall rating on a scale of 1 to 5 is about 4.1. Many customers wanted more time to eat. That was the biggest complaint. The menu received many positive comments, especially from guests with food allergies or desiring a vegan meal. All food is now cooked from scratch, either in the Ozier Kitchen or What the Truck Kitchen in Santa Fe. A total of 17 employees of What the Truck support the Ozier Dining Hall facility, working in either Ozier or Santa Fe. Outlaw Barbecue in Chama has chartered 2 trains for the fall color season. These trains will originate at their restaurant and return to their restaurant. These 2 trains will run September 27th and October 4th. Departure time is 3 o'clock. The restaurant will serve their guests dinner after the train trip. The railroad is helping to market these 2 trains. We have 2 photo charters on October 19 and 20 for Kdenlive. These trains will feature 168 in the historic consist and 463 with a freight consist. We requested proposals to remove the Cumbres Pavilion. The snow load on the structure last winter caused a catastrophic failure of the building. None of the building structure is salvageable, and it should be removed before snowfall. The Finance Department was elevated to a direct report to the General Manager President on May 10, just prior to the last commission meeting. Since that time, Alicia Martinez has hired additional financial staff and restructured the department. She's establishing performance metrics for her department. The 2022-23 audit has been initiated with SJT Group, LLC. And the new budget structure that was approved in the last commission meeting is being implemented with the assistance of Burton Company, CPA. The Antonito shop's been busy with repairs on diesels 15 and 19. 15 received a rebuilt traction motor and work on the cooling system, fuel injectors, addition of a battery to bring it back to a 72-volt system for starting, and a full inspection. The locomotive can now be used outside of the yard limits. The 19 broke an axle while returning from flanging the line into Ozier earlier this year. The axle failure was a classic fatigue failure of the axle. The spare traction motor, gearbox, and axle were installed while the locomotive was located in Sublette after the locomotive was retrieved from the failure site that was about 2 miles to the west. The 484 and 488 have been the go-to locomotives this season. Both are now close to their first 92-day service inspections and boiler washes. The 463 suffered a slipped driver tire on the engineer's side third axle a few weeks ago. The wheel set was removed. The wheel needed to be machined to clean up the tire seating surface. It was taken to Chama. The large wheel lathe was used to turn the wheel. It was taken back to Antonito where the shim was fitted between the tire and the wheel when it was reinstalled. The locomotive's back in service, and while in Antonito, it received its 31-day inspection and wash. Work on the 487 is continuing. The hardware from the old tender cistern has been transferred to the new cistern. New white oak supports have been ordered to place between the tender, the frame, and the cistern. The frame's been inspected, has received a coat of paint, and work on the firebox has been much more extensive than was originally thought when we started this project last year. The original scope was installation of 2 new side sheets in the firebox. After a full inspection, the engine needed a lower section of the inner door sheet, lower side sheets, lower section of the rear flue sheet, a partial throat sheet, a flush patch on the engineer's side blowdown valve on the outer sheet. And all the new sheets had been fabricated, fitted, and welded. Welding is about 80% completed. Stephen Butler in the Antonito shop also fabricated corners for 480's firebox repairs that were underway in Durango, and we fabricated the new corners for 487. Once the firebox welding is completed, we'll complete the oil conversion. The conversion will include a petticoat pipe as well as the DNS style fire pan and door damper. All materials to complete the conversion are on hand. Work continues on the 489. The new fire pan's been installed, replacing the one that failed at the end of last season. All the oil atomizer air piping has been fabricated. The new fire pan is installed. The burner's been installed. The fire brick's being put back in place. This represents version 2.0 of the oil conversion on 489. All the rod brasses have been completed. The trailing truck still needs some work on the fireman side thrust bearing before it's ready to install onto the locomotive. The 168 and 315 will be used on the Friends charters on Monday the 28th and Tuesday the 29th. I want to thank Stephen Butler, Jocelyn Comstock, and Max Casillas for their work on 168 cylinder saddle. In January, I was not sure that the failure of the cylinder saddle on both sides of the locomotive would not cause us to re-retire that locomotive again. I'm convinced that the failure on the engineer side and the patch the DNRGW made on that saddle contributed to the locomotive's original retirement. In the case of that cylinder saddle, literally both sides had cracked through the bolts connecting the frame and the boiler, and one side literally fell off when we removed the bolts. So it was significant failure. The 492 was moved off the isolated track north of the Chama shop. The tender's been moved to the track next to the ash pit. Locomotive is sitting north of the shop right now, and the external inspections have begun. The first set of parts of the new rod order arrived this last month. The remaining of the rods will arrive over the next year. On June 3rd, 2023, we rolled out the new parlor car. Kate Catville-Rind attended the opening day. She unveiled the car named the Jim Wren in honor of her late husband. The car's first trip over the railroad was eventful, with one of the trucks suffering 5 hot boxes on one axle. We changed the truck and have not had any further issues with the car. It's been added to the fall consist on Fridays out of Antonito and Saturdays out of Chama. There are 6 Saturdays in September and October where additional parlor car and additional coach will require double headers out of Chama. There's still a few parlor car seats available in the new car. They sold remarkably fast. The fiscal year 2023-24 state budget appropriation cycle has begun. The Commission requests 2 types of funds from each state. We request funding for the Commission operations. These funds cover the property insurance costs to protect the capital assets of the 2 states, and a small amount for financial staff and state mandated audits. The other form of funding that is required is capital appropriation for track, locomotive, and passenger car investments. We're in the 3-year appropriation cycle for Colorado, funding for the Commission and capital. We've requested an additional $500,000 for wildland fire mitigation along the right-of-way from Colorado. We're also submitting our request to New Mexico. We'll be asking for a small increase in Commission funding to help cover the rapidly increasing costs of property insurance. We're seeing a very different trend in ticket bookings this year. There's a significant shift in demographics riding the railroad, with a younger group of guests booking this year. We're also seeing fewer bookings via phone and many more via internet sales. Prior to COVID, about 40% of ticket sales were booked via the internet. Today, we're seeing about 2/3 booked via the internet. Most of these bookings are coming off smartphones. There's also been a significant increase in walk-up sales in the morning of departure. Overall bookings as of this morning were 24,975. Revenue from the bookings is higher than any of the past 5 years. Our target for retail sales in the 2 gift shops for the fiscal year is 5% of the estimated ticket revenue. As of this meeting, we're about over halfway to this goal. Many of the items have sold out. All have been reordered for the fall color season. Kaylee's designs have had very, very many positive comments, and the reaction to our parlor car passengers to the holiday ornament has been extremely positive. Then they discover this is the first year of a series. Many talk about returning to ride the train in order to collect the ornaments. So that's a summary of the status of things today.
Yeah, good report.
Sorry it was a bit long, but
Well, it's important. I'm sure everybody likes to hear the details, especially on the equipment.
yeah,
One thing that struck me in recent conversations is with 2 parlor cars. Not every parlor car is going to be at the end of the train, so just something to bear in mind. But getting 2 parlor cars is a great achievement and will bring up the capacity notably.
the Antonito shop folks did a beautiful job on the finish of that car. It was done in-house, And it is the first car that we've got that uses the steel siding similar to what, well, we sourced it from the Durango and Silverton. And the exterior of that car is steel, and we think it'll hold up pretty well. And it really did not increase the weight of the car. It was surprising. So,
And if you have an opportunity to ride it, because that car is spectacular. It really is beautiful. And we mentioned in the last commission meeting how much we appreciate the efforts that went into repainting the cars. I think our consist looks as good as it's ever looked. It's just beautiful.
any questions? Okay, next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Marvin?
Well, the first part of the season, we pretty much spent it getting everything ready, getting everything in sync as we got going. No, we worked hard at trying to build up something for customers first. Like I said, we got trains painted, we got walkways sort of cleaned up, so we did some of it. But as we start the season, we start moving equipment back and forth and all that. We start having problems. This equipment's old, so a lot of the stuff you don't know what's going to give till you start going on it. So we did have a few problems here. At the beginning, we had some problems with journal brasses. We got that taken care of, and right now our trains are starting to roll pretty good. We've had a few engine problems. Those things have been corrected. We're on a roll now. But as you guys know, we're running a business, and every business, little quirks pop up. And now we got the biggest problem of all is we're starting to develop some water problems with the spring boxes. And so we're having to haul some water into sublet. The sublet spring's not doing what it usually does. It's running low, so. But we've been able to remedy that by hauling water, and we're able to keep trains going again. So we're not, where we have this little problems, we're being able to keep them to where they're just small problems. So everything's working pretty much. We got trains running. That's the main goal, is we get our trains going, and our trains have not been coming in that late. Most of the time, we've had every train coming in pretty much right on time. So that makes a lot of difference to our passengers. So that's where we're at on that. Like Scott mentioned, locomotive 15, we brought it over last year. We changed traction motors on it. We got it. We did some electrical work on it. We got it back to Chama. It's working now. So they have a switcher in Chama now that makes things a little bit easier for us over there. Locomotive 19, we broke an axle last year when we were trying to find our way through the canyon. So we landed up having to pull it back into sublet. We ended up having to do all the work at sublet. We had no way of getting it down here, so we jacked it up, and we did the whole conversion up at sublet, and that's running good now. So that's back in service. So that's been good. On that, like I said, we just spent our time making sure the railroad's running. We worked on the dining hall. we're happy that it's in good condition now, it's back to service. That's one of the best things I think that's happened this summer, is customers really see the difference in that. So that's come up and helped us a lot on that. We keep talking with our fire patrol people. They're doing an excellent job. They're watching everything behind trains and all that. And we've been working on a little program that we've been switching people on fire patrol here in Antietam, and we're trying to use different people on it. We're trying to cross-train people so that if we ever need somebody in the hub, we're able to just call somebody, and somebody will answer the call. And so that's one of the biggest things I think that we're really trying to work on, and we're accomplishing it, because the guys they're taking it serious. They're really taking it serious when they're coming in. They come in, they look through, they check their whole equipment. It's not just show up and go to work. They actually come in, they're taking part and finding out, make sure that the equipment's ready to go, and they leave it ready to go for the next person, which is, I think that's the biggest critical part of all of it is, if I come in and I'm in a hurry, I can have a little bit of confidence that somebody checked this thing out, and I can go back and look at it, and it's ready to go. So we've been doing some training that's helping us in the long run for a lot of things. This guys will be valuable to you guys in the long run, as they go on. Zal's been busy on PACE RF. He's got the truss rods back in on one end. They're all welded, put together. So he's able to work that one plank in place. Plus he's working. he's got a lot of interior work that he's been working on also. Plus we've also been using him to help us with 487 tender frame, and he's got that tender frame ready to mount lumber as soon as the lumber comes in, and we'll be able to get that tender back in service quick. So that's hopefully here in the next 2 weeks, our biggest plan is all summer long we steal people from John's crew on the track department. They're the ones that are the most flexible, and so we're going to try to return the favor to him. So we're going to see if we can start moving some rock bells for the tracks for him here in 2 weeks, and we can help him that way by moving the rock for him. So those are things that are coming up that we want to do. So that's what I got.
Just a comment, if you don't mind, to be able to do the repair on the 19 out of a facility, do it on the line, is amazing. Anybody who's ever done work like that is not an easy job to do, and big kudos. Most organizations our size, most railroads our size, are going to call a contractor in, and it's going to be $100,000, $150,000, and they're going to bring the crane in, and yeah, I think that's just an indication of the quality of our team to be able to do something like that, because that's Herculean. So
we had a team effort when we were doing that. I mean, everybody pitched in, and like I said, we literally moved the needle shop to Sublette. Tools and all, and that's the way we've done. But, it's, like I said, it was a team effort. We had a few guys that just started working with us this year that went to go help us over there, and it was amazing how it was like working in steps, and the older guys would teach the younger guys what to do what not to get in trouble. Don't get in that area in case something moves or something, you know. It was interesting. Watched it, you know, and the thing about it is they took pride on getting it done. They had a goal that we were gonna go get it done, and the whole thing was, in the week that locomotive was gonna be in Antietam, and that was their goal, and they got it back into Antietam in that 1 week, you know, when we started working on it. So, but yeah, I was proud of the way the guys, they just tend to work together. It was fun up there. So.
I'm glad they had fun. That's not
You know, if we can't make the job a little fun, you know, why come to work?
exactly.
You know, that's, you know, when you're doing work together and enjoying it, you have a better performance, better outcome of the whole project.
Any questions for Marvin?
Myron, I understand the situation with the water at Sublet. Is the water supply at Cumbres affected?
It's also, the spring box is not putting out the water. I was up there yesterday checking it, and we're not getting the full pipe flow out of the spring box. So and we have the same problem at Sublet. Sublet's not putting out much water at all.
So basically, we haven't had any water really since, rainfall.
Right.
Since about the end of May. I'm hoping a good snowpack. That's going to be getting pretty challenging. I'd like to compliment you on getting the 15 and the 19 both back in service, because I know from my own history how tough it is, particularly in Channel, when the only way you can move an engine around is with either a loader, or fire up an engine. So, and I want to compliment you on getting through this tight period when the 463 was down. I know how much you don't want to have to rely on your guardian angel to keep you out of the deep woods. And so you've done a remarkable job. I also want to compliment you on the cross-training. And cross-training in an organization this small is critical, so that people know how to do the jobs if anybody is suddenly not available. So I just want to give you my wholehearted compliments on having gotten through a pretty tough time. That's all.
Agreed.
Like I said, it's amazing because, like I said, everybody pitched in. Every employee would come up and ask where we needed help, what we need to do, and they were coming up and helping us out. So that's
The other nice thing about cross-training, of course, is that when the guys who are on the engine in the day are helping fix it at night, they know what needs to be fixed. And the guys in the shop are out on the engine in the day, they know how much is dependent upon them having done their job well.
Yeah.
So, those are good things.
No other questions? We'll move on to financial report. Alicia?
Good morning, everyone. So I'm just going to focus on our June 30th, end of the fiscal year. So we are doing some audit prep right now. We have started, we'll be getting the child balance to the auditor, to Josh and his team, on September 13th. So we'll start field work on the 18th of September. Right now, we're just prepping, so we're doing some PVC items that we're trying to gather and just ensure that we want to make sure that the audit is submitted by November 1st. So we did start a little bit earlier this year. We went based off of the items that they requested last year. So they're pretty similar. There will be a few things added. We will not have to go through a single audit this year for the ARPA funds that we received. So fiscal year 23, we won't be doing a single audit. I'll just kind of go over each fund for the fiscal year. So just keep in mind this is unaudited. So we're still, we haven't submitted it to the state auditor, so the information is, what we have is still being worked on. So HPA, I'll just jump into HPA. So our NOI is higher than prior year. Operational revenue has increased for that. So we do see that historic preservation fee sitting in HPA, and we do have an increase from prior year. Our total assets for the fiscal year total to about, we do have an increase in our total assets from prior year. So the total liabilities decreased from prior year, and that increases our total liabilities and equity for the year. Commission is overall good, so we did receive the operating support for both from Colorado and New Mexico, so that's sitting in commission. We won't see that at fiscal year, the June 30th financial statements, but we will see that in August. We were under budget for our expenses for the fiscal year in commission, so we didn't have to do any budget adjustments. So let's see, our expenses in commission have decreased from prior year, as we see that the maintenance and the reconstruction of Osier is now complete. So that's good in commission, because that makes our NOI is awesome. Capital is always busy, so Marvin did cover some of the projects that we see. We are working on getting that June 30th billing into the state of Colorado and the state of New Mexico. We're just working on finishing up the fiscal year. So you all know that we've had some trouble with accounts payable. Not so much trouble, but just finding a full-time position, somebody to fill that position. So we've all been playing a role. There's 3 of us in my department, and in order to keep separation of duties a top priority, we've had to struggle through it, but we're figuring it out. I'll just go over CTO a little bit. So we all know how busy CTO is at this time of the year. Our operational revenue from this season did increase from prior year. We do see that we have an increase in payroll expenses, operational expenses, and insurance policies as well. So we did add some additional insurance policies. As Scott stated, that's why we did get the extra support from Colorado and New Mexico. But we were under budget, so we didn't have to do any budget adjustments for CTO, so that's good. We are working, like Scott said, with the new budget. It's a little bit different for us. So there's a new coding system and trying to get used to it, and we're trying to make sure that our managers are involved in the financial aspect of this, so they each have their set of budget. But that's pretty much it for me. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it for me. Anybody has any questions?
And how much is the revenue up this year
So
versus last year?
I don't have any numbers here, Mark, but I can get you some numbers.
Okay. It was a considerable amount,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah. Mhm.
It's a lot over
Yeah,
last year.
it's a lot compared to last year.
Which is good. Our expenses went up,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah, I mean, and it's mostly our insurance and our utilities. We did see an increase in our utilities, but with inflation,
Right.
we're going to see that regardless.
and payroll.
So, yes, and our payroll
And
expenses.
that's a good reason why expenses went up, is to pay people
Yes.
more as we can.
Yes.
Yeah. We were able to move the base hourly wage rate up to $17 an hour this year.
Yeah.
And that's a substantial increase for folks.
Exactly. And that was really important move to make, because we know how much the cost of living has gone up recently, so.
Any other questions for Alicia?
No, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa.
Abby, marketing.
All right, so as you all, I kind of mentioned this last commission meeting, as you all know, going into this season, I kind of switched the whole marketing outlook, in which I started everything a lot sooner than we had typically done in years past. One thing being that digital marketing, typically we did not start that till June 1st. This year, we did start that in May, so I kind of shifted it to cover more of our early spring, summer season versus the fall. As everybody knows, fall is our busiest time of the year, so kind of sells itself in a way, just because everybody wants to see all the fall colors. So that is something that has helped, I feel that has helped marketing kind of start earlier this year. With that being said, I don't have numbers really comparing all the early marketing numbers since from prior years to this year. So in comparison to last year, June and July for the big digital marketing campaign, last year we did see a total, just in June and July, of 2,342 conversions. So that's when they saw one of our ads online, they clicked on it, and ultimately they did book with us. Versus this year, we saw a total just in June and July of 3,010. So that's about 668 different more bookings that we saw in hard conversions. So that overall is showing to be great as well. Running a lot of advertisements again now after COVID, all the big tourism websites have come back to life. So now we're starting to advertise more with them. Seems like people are going to, newmexico.org, even Visit Albuquerque, and then colorado.com the most. So that's where we're seeing a lot of our funnel website traffic come from. There is one in particular, Visit Albuquerque. I had to take a second look at it when I ran those numbers. That is the highest converting website banner we are seeing. So we are seeing a click-through rate of 4.4%. Typically for our industry, on average, you see a click-through rate anywhere from 0.01 to 0.03. So that Visit Albuquerque is doing very, very well for us. So going into next season, they are offering a lot more digital advertising for us. So I am going to look really hard to them and start adding that to our overall campaign as well. On the social media PR side of things, Max actually did come to me with an idea that he had of kind of showcasing our track crew and all the work that they did. You did hear from Scott a little bit about all of their accomplishments this year. So I actually got to ride on the locomotive on one of their ballast trains when they were dumping ballast near Coxo this year. So I got some video of that, and on Facebook, that video alone saw 18.2 million views. So that is our highest viewing post. That was as of last week. I can guarantee you if I went and looked at it right now, it's still on there. So that is great to see that people do enjoy the raw background of what we do here at Cumbres and Toltec. Not only is marketing just, ultimate goal obviously is to get the ridership and sell those tickets, but sometimes we need to showcase everybody else involved to make this railroad run. So I will see if I can get some more of that track crew stuff so I can start showcasing them a little bit more as well. And I guess you did hear from Scott as well about the different shift in our marketing trends. We are seeing a little bit of a younger demographic overall. I did look, we do a research survey throughout the season. I kind of dove into that a little bit and looked, and the people even completing this survey are in a different age range from what we have previously seen. So that is really good. It a lot of younger families are riding. That short Friday, July trip, once again, showed to be very, very successful. Lots and lots of young kids riding. We need to introduce that next generation into railroads so we can kind of create habits so they ride with us year after year. So that was really, really nice to see as well. Other marketing, I guess we'll call them projects, that I've been working on. We did replace majority of our entrance signs, both here in Antonito and in Chama as well. So those needed a little facelift. So we were able to complete that project through ARPA funding. So that was really nice. So that is now complete. There are some other things sign-wise that we will be looking to add as well, just to deliver, just directional signage throughout our property, just to help our guests navigate through everything that we have. We've also been involved in so far 3 parades, local parades. We went to Manassas Pioneer Days, so we attended that for the first time, I think, ever. Myself and then a few, Kimmy Garcia here from Antonito, Crystal, and then one of our onboard attendants also went with us. Kim and Rich were also with us. They were driving us. I think we were all taken back by the amount of people at the Manassas Parade, and also they're like the Rose Bowl of parades here because their floats are on a whole different level. And me, competitive side, I was like, okay, got a little taste of it this year, so we'll see what we can come up for next year. We also did Chama Days, and we went to Little Beaver and Dulce. And then this next weekend, we will be participating in the parade here in Antonito for Labor Day. So that is also very important, just getting that community awareness and showing we are getting out there in the community to be good neighbors to everybody. That's all I have, unless somebody has any questions.
I'll just make a quick comment, and it's really important to see that widening demographic. So we're not replacing any demographic, we're widening our appeal, and I think that's exactly right. It's very good to get families riding because it does become a tradition. So congratulations on the marketing side on widening that demographic.
And then I guess I'll also mention another project currently have going on is it's a pretty big project. We are getting new advertising, marketing material across the board, from commercials to radio to print ads to interior of the cars to exterior of the cars, happening this season. I've done 1 photo shoot of 3, so starting next season, we will have fresh new marketing advertising material.
Very good. Thank you.
If I can make a comment as well, I think one of the interesting things in the CTO meeting yesterday was that the change in demographic also spilled into retail sales. So we're seeing a lot more younger geared items moving through the gift shop. So that's
Stuffed animals, surprisingly.
yeah, books, children's books. So that's encouraging to me that we are appealing to a younger demographic on all levels.
And I mean, the signs look wonderful.
Yes.
They're so fresh, and you see them.
Yes,
And it was
you
easily
see
noticed.
to a point that I drove Marvin crazy outside.
But thank you a lot for doing that. It just really, it makes us all, it makes the railroad feel younger, because we're not that same tired old.
So one of the things that also the younger demographic is showing up is a desire for a different, we're getting compliments on the food at Osier being targeting for a group that want vegan meals. They have concerns over food allergies. One comment that struck me strongly was a very strong compliment for a young child who had a tree nut allergy, and they were able to find a full meal up at Osier for that individual with the current menu. So some of those things are really garnering some nice comments.
One thing I'll add about the youth too is I rode twice last week and noticed that the adolescents were busy as the Dickens towards the end of their ride doing junior fireman engineer booklets too, so.
Oh, nice.
Docent workload has picked up.
Well, we certainly appreciate the docents because they're such an important aspect of our ride.
Local affairs.
Well, I will take that since our vice chairman or chairman is busy.
Yeah.
I really want to thank a couple of entities. One in Chama, the Chama Valley Art Studio, allowed us to have our CTO meeting there yesterday, kind of last minute. We got kicked out of the fire station at kind of last minutes. And also in Antonito, the town administration is always so very accommodating. There's nobody here on Saturdays. Rossi comes in and opens the building for us, and then, for Sam yesterday, didn't he open it for you yesterday afternoon?
Yeah.
And then comes in and closes it up. And this is on his, supposed to be his day off, so we really appreciate both communities accommodating us in our meetings. And I think that we've had COVID move through Chama a little bit. Had a couple of restaurants that had to close because their staff all had COVID. Motels seem to be full and busy, and nobody's complaining, so I guess that's probably the best thing that's happening.
And the restaurants are open again or will
Yes,
be open again?
yeah, they're
Good.
open back up.
That's important.
Yeah, the protocols changed considerably, so that the downtime, I think, was only 4 days for both businesses, so.
Good.
We're glad that they're open back up because, I just got a COVID exposure on my phone, on my email.
What restaurants were those again?
It was, Boxcar and, Rio Chama Espresso.
But they are open again?
Yes, they're both
So-
open back up again.
And in the big picture, I think it's probably good to get it over with rather than deal with it in the fall when
Absolutely.
we're really busy.
Any questions for Kim? Okay. Capital projects. I summarized a lot of those in the president's report. Just a couple of highlights. The lava water tank has not been in service for a long time, and the contract has been let for getting that put back together, and we'll use a tank car and run a tank car out there and fill the tank from the tank car. It has a 12,000 gallon liner in it, so 2 tank car loads will allow us to fill that liner. And right now, it would be very helpful to have another source of water out there. We've got a charter with 168 on Monday, and that train only goes as far as Bighorn and turns around and comes back. So we know we're going to need water at both Bighorn and at Lava. So having the water tank back in service and being able to stop for 3 or 4 minutes to fill that tender will be a whole lot better than the 10 or 15 minute stop to run the pumps. 492 is moving along. We're working on external assessment on the boiler. Cab is off the locomotive now to help with that assessment. And as I mentioned, the new set of side main rod and valve gear components are beginning to show up. And we actually bought a pair of those, so we will have a spare set that will likely end up on 484 when it goes through its 1472 in a couple of years, giving us a used set of rods to have as spares to replace some of the ones that have vanished over time. And then the kind of the last couple of items in the ARPA range. Abby mentioned the signs, and that came out of the capital ARPA money. And we've got an assessment going on the old Chama roundhouse section, an engineering study to look at the structural damage in the roof timbers where they've been sistered over time, and some of the additional damage that's occurred recently due to the snow loads, and how do we go about repairing that in those large post and beam construction interior pieces and make sure that that building is stable for the next 50 years. Because I think the last time it had any major work was about 50 years ago. And so, reviewing that, we want to make sure that that is a sound structural building. So we've got some capital money out of New Mexico to actually make that assessment. So that's pretty much it on capital. The ongoing track and locomotive and car work as well. So, Tim, I think you're next with your Friends of the C&TS report.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Well, where we stand right now, we've got 6 of our work sessions behind us. We have one more to go. We talked about some of this yesterday, some of the stuff we've completed, and you'll see it there, the box cars, tank cars, certainly sublet. There's some, Bill had some in his report yesterday, but some photos there. We're making progress at sublet, obviously. We talked about the extension on the Antonito CRF to the west with the pad, and we have an extra track that we can put trucks on. So that building, and I say this often, but that building has, in the since I got here 19 years ago, when it was just a shell, and I know I repeat myself often, but it's really a heck of a facility that we can work in, and so I can't say enough the work we can do there, and out of the wind and out of the elements and that sort of thing, and then with the car storage shelter over there too. So we've made quite an investment in Antonito, which, we have a lot of members who love working in Chama, but we have a lot that love coming and working in Antonito just for that reason. So anyway, we got quite a bit of work done, I would say, over the course of the first 6 sessions, although as I say often in these meetings, we continue to have issues with shortage of, as people do with workforce, we do with volunteers, and just a lot of that's over a period of time people have passed on or are doing other things or health, but so we'll keep working on that as well. We do have a crew over the weekend here prepping for the 2 days of charters, cleaning up the equipment, and Marvin, thank you, and Ronnie for getting the train put together. So hopefully we'll have a couple good days. We have 64 people each day, so hopefully we don't have any mechanical issues, but we should have a couple good days. We ran our Moonlight and Wine Train on the 29th, and I think people had a good time. As Scott mentioned, we were dealing with the week leading up to it, the tire coming off the 463, so everyone did a heck of a job turning the road unit around and fueling and re-prepping it. So we did get back about 1:30 that the next morning, but I think people had a pretty good time. Bill was on it. I'm trying to think if there was anybody else here. Well, Ed was our conductor. That's right. And Anna and Scott. Yeah, Scott was the other crew. So, yeah. And anyway, people had a good time, and people were impressed with Victoria's meal. She always does doing a good job with that. So, and next year it'll be on July 20th of 2024, which will be exactly the 55th anniversary of Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. So there's how we're gonna hype that. So come ride the Moonlight Train on the 55th anniversary of the moon landing. So anyway, the narrow gauge convention is coming up. We've got Space Friends will be up there, and Scott, I'm assuming we've got. Do we have any railroad representation, or
I think there's one person from the Denver area that's
Okay.
gonna be up there.
you're gonna be up there?
Yeah, but for the Galpin Goose.
Oh, okay. Well, we have space, so we have a presence there. Let's see, our fall board meeting comes up on October 27th, and then the banquet that night will be at the Colorado Railroad Museum. Our meetings will be at the Table Mountain Inn, so I've got the information there for that event. And then, as I've been reporting, obviously the work continues on Express Bay Car 163, which is up in Colorado Springs. So I've got a few pictures in there for you to peruse at. And still working pretty much every other Saturday on that. So it was kind of like the tourist sleeper, a long-term project, but we'll keep at that. So. Other than that, and I did want to follow up on the junior engineer booklets that the docents are handing out. And it seems like it's going over very, very well. In fact, there's a lot of adults, I guess, that have come back and commented about, when are you going to do one for the adults? So anyway, so we'll see. I guess we'll have to work on that. But so it is being received very well. So as far as, younger demographics, that's great, and give the kids something to do, so I hope that continues to be a success. So anyway.
Exactly, and hopefully that helps the Friends with their recruiting.
Yeah, start them early, and then they,
Exactly right.
we reel them in, so.
Well,
Yes, John.
Can I offer a testimony?
Oh, go ahead.
We have guests at the bed and breakfast, and recently it included a couple of young kids.
Oh, really?
And while we're busy feeding them breakfast on the second day after they had their training, the two young kids are frantically filling out their junior engineer thing so that they could get their
badge, yeah.
They were
Their patch.
very enthusiastic and very committed to it. So I really want to thank you guys to the effort that's being put into energizing that. And they did also mention something about, well, when is there going to be an adult junior engineer program?
All right, well, that,
I do think it offers a real opportunity.
right, it does. So thank you, I appreciate that. So that's good. I mean, it's,
very good.
I think with what Abby said about a younger demographics starting to ride the train, that's good. That's what we need. Us folks, our age are gonna move on, and we got to get a new blood. So anyway, so
Yep. Thanks again.
thanks for everything. Appreciate all the support. Sorry about the little snafu yesterday, or we got it solved, but we'll get through it. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Let's see. New business. We have 3 resolutions to go through. The first one is the contract with Capstone Group LLC for our support up in Colorado. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the Capstone LLC client agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The second resolution is a resolution to amend the Commission Policies and Practices Manual Version 8. And it's this one is to conform to provisions of the governing documents of the 77 agreement, and deals with the state audit processes in Colorado and in New Mexico. And what it does is moves us from a 3-year window of contracting with specific audit services to a 6-year window. Do I need to read the details, or?
Yeah, technically you should.
Okay, I'll read the whereases. Whereas the Cumbres Toltec Scenic Railroad Commission adopted Policies and Practices Manual version 8 on May 20th, 2023, and whereas the commission desires to conform the provisions of its governing documents and local, state, federal laws applicable to and is enabled by the 1977 agreement, the commission desires to include a revision in the original manual, specifically the financial audit section, to read: financial audits. The books of accounts of the Commission, CTO, LLC, and HPA, LLC, are subject to audit by the State Auditor of Colorado and the State Auditor of New Mexico. The Commission will issue an RFP up to every 6 years to contract for such auditing services from qualified CPA firms from either state. The results must include proposals from at least 2 firms. In the event of audits having been done for up to 6 consecutive years by auditors from one state, the contract for the next fiscal year audit must be awarded to the other state. The Commission's policy is to select the proposal that best suits the Commission's needs. The auditor's report for each year is accepted by the Commission and forwarded to the state auditors and governors of both states. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve resolution 2023-009.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Do I hear vote for approval?
Yeah.
All
Aye.
three, aye. It's so approved.
That should make it easier for you, Alicia.
All right, the last one is a resolution to approve the FY23 New Mexico appropriation request as amended for $380,000. I'll just read it. Whereas the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad Commission requests an annual appropriation from the New Mexico State Legislature. Whereas the Commission requires $380,000 to support the operation of Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad Commission. Now therefore be resolved that the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad Commission hereby approves the FY 2025 New Mexico legislative appropriation request in the amount of $380,000.
Motion to approve.
So, second.
Approve.
We need a vote.
You got me out of order here.
Sorry. Trying to move things along here.
Wait, do I hear a vote?
Aye.
Aye. We don't need to do a roll call on that one, do we? Okay. Let's see, under old business is where we need to have the public comment pieces. We have 2 people that have signed up for comments. Bob Reeb and Bob Connery. Bob Reeb, you mentioned the topic to be addressed was Chama.
I'm sorry?
You wrote down topic to be addressed was Chama.
Chama, yes, sir.
Okay?
Been working there 18 years. First year I was here, Bob Tully, for those of you who remember him, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We're shutting down here, we're going to Antonito." And that day we poured 76 yards of concrete in that new building. And we couldn't believe the size of the building and how big it was and how nice it was going to be. So we finished the building up. It's been expanded many times since then, and it's terrific to work at. It's one of the best places there is, because it only takes 50 steps to get to wherever you need to do the job. And it's inside, out of the weather. So, anyway, but they couldn't get anybody to come up here to work. And so they shut down A and B session and told all those people that they had to come up here to Antonito to work. Over the years, it's became one of the best places to work. And they have a really good core of people now that work there. So my question is, why are we not doing A and B session back in Chama? And E and F? During C session, we had 60 people. I don't think anybody else had that many people work in one session. D session, we had 35. I think they average about 25 people or so over here in Antonito. So they have those people that are going to work there forever. So we are losing a lot of people and a lot of revenue to Chama from not having A and B and E and F. E and F, there was 2 groups, one from Georgia and one from Oklahoma, that scheduled their vacation to come here and work. And so we're losing a lot of people because of those. My question is, do we need to set a minimum of how many people are going to sign up for a session? And can they come? We don't have to force anybody to come to Antonito anymore to work. They have enough people. Why can't we open up A and B session and E and F and have more people come to Chama?
Well, Bob, I'm not sure why you're asking that, bringing this up in this forum, because that's a fringe issue.
I understand that, but I wanted to get this on records, okay?
Well, the problem is we don't have enough support people. You know?
Now, that's another thing. Kathleen Towers took care of a C-session, okay? Caroline Towers, yes, took care of C-session, okay? And then she was gone. But we had D session with 35 people. Who took care of that? Do you know?
I'd have to look back and see.
Jim Hickman, the site leader, took over and ran everything, had some volunteers go to the store to get whatever we needed to keep it right on running. We do not have to have lunches there. We can tell people to bring their own lunch or go eat. We don't have to have anybody in a kitchen car other than the site leader and a couple of volunteers to go down to the grocery store once in a while and buy stuff just for the snacks in between. And everybody get their own lunches. So we can eliminate that problem. Now, I don't know whether we need to set, like I said earlier, set a minimum of the people that are going to sign up ahead of time, because we're losing a lot of people. We don't need... Antonito is a terrific place to work.
What do you mean we're losing a lot of people?
A lot of people would come in A and B session and E and F sessions in Chama.
Okay.
But we've canceled them now. And I called several people and talked to them, and they said, yeah, we had our vacation scheduled and everything to come there from a long distance to work, and all of a sudden they're shut down. My question is, why are we doing that?
Well, I just gave you the reason, and this, I gave you the reason. This is something that we will talk about further.
Yeah, we have our board meeting
At the
coming
board
up,
level.
you know, in October. That's when we should.
I mean, if you have hard names and numbers, don't give me this anecdotal stuff, okay? If we get people that actually say, hey, you got 20 people say they'll show up, tell us who they are. I mean, I don't buy into this anecdotal stuff.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you put them out there and say, we're going to have A and B session, then put a minimum on it. Okay? And if they make the minimum, okay. And tell them that in the paperwork. You know, if we make 20 people, whatever it is you set, then we will have A session. And then so on and so on. That, I don't know who will come and who won't. But if it's there and available, then they have their choice of doing it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we'll discuss it further.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm just giving you the reasons why.
What?
Based on what John is up against, Don Atkinson, the projects, the planning part of it, and please appreciate how much time John Ames puts into trying to put everything together.
I understand that. I'm just saying we need a couple more choices.
Well,
Thanks, Bob. From our point of view, we'll probably step back as the commission and let you folks work that out. But just know the commission knows how much we appreciate the desire to volunteer on both sides. It's really huge. So thanks for your comments.
Bob Cottery?
actually Bob just about said everything that I was just gonna back him up with, so. Yeah, from a lot of the people that I've worked with in the last few years that I've been here, especially through the COVID time, with everything that was going on then and the two states, New Mexico being shut down, Colorado being open, and working up at Cumbres, only 4 miles away from New Mexico. Best thing that happened to me was COVID. I wound up with 15 people, 15 volunteers my first week, and I wound up with 16 volunteers my second week. And then because we were also working in between, the interest coming out of Chama, being up at Cumbres Pass and convenience only 15 minutes away, and we had restaurants, we had basically facilities that were, because of COVID, closed down to other people, and the town was happy to even have us in there, so they could make some income. But yeah, it was interesting that during COVID, when people were all staying home, I had that many volunteers coming up to work at Cumbres Pass, and that was primarily showed me that a lot of people would really like to be able to work out of Chama. It's a beautiful area, a lot of movement, and it was just a pleasure to see. For me, I didn't know who I was going to have when I got to the top, and then John Ames called me after it was all over, and he said, "How'd you get so many people?" So I was just,
That's great.
yeah, and that allowed us to get a lot of stuff. So that was my comment.
Thanks again, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, I want to
Appreciate
say,
your volunteering.
Bob, thank you for your comments and for your work on the section house roof. So we'll socialize this back to John Ames, and I hope you right along are socializing this to John as well. I mean, but we'll talk about it further, so appreciate the comments, yeah.
Okay, all right. Is there any need for an executive session?
I think there was.
Yeah, I believe there is.
Do
So
I
I
hear-
would make a motion to move into executive session,
Second?
and then we need a roll call vote.
Commissioner Graybill,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Castford,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Gibbs.
Yes. Okay, we will disappear outside. All right, let the record show there were no decisions made, no action taken. We come back into session. We hear a motion to come back into session.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Graybill,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Castford,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbs.
Yes.
Okay.
We're back in session. With no other comments from anybody, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming. Thank you very much.